for the football. This for the football. For the city and the back roads. Got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the football and let's go. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmetto Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating no dragons who run the whole city, you wildin'. And they really bout it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and kinda got flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the football. This for the football. This for the football.
Let's get that fixed right and in a hurry. Hello, everybody. Welcome back here. We are live on location here at the Crow's Nest. It's the 440 Sports Show sponsored by Sposito Insurance. I cannot believe it, folks. We are already encroaching on week 4 in county football already. It's been an amazing first 3 weeks of football right here in the county. Some teams are flying high. Some teams are still looking to get what is going, trying to get that recipe and make the soup taste right. Our guest tonight is part of one of those teams that is flying high, because let me tell you, these guys had themselves an afternoon. The St. John Heralds, after putting together a first half that was great in week 1, a second half that was great in week 2, figured it all out, put together a full 4 quarters of football, getting their first win of the season. And let me tell you guys, it was in no small part due to our player of the week. Let's bring up his stats. It's going to be Chase Newsome, who's going to be joining us on the show tonight. 4 touchdowns, 3 different ways. It was an incredible day for this young man right here. Ladies and gentlemen, our week 3 player of the week, it's Chase Newsome. As you can hear, the roaring applause. It's a beautiful night here at the Crow's Nest. It's a packed house again, and that's what I love to see. Chase, let's look at what the numbers are saying. I mean, 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, a punt return, an interception return. You were a utility knife for this team. What was going on heading into this game?
Coaches had a great game plan going into the game. We knew we had to take advantage of their defensive line, and our offensive line played phenomenal, and they gave me all the opportunities I needed on offense.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the points on the board are going to show, all the stuff you guys did in the defensive backfield, because your defense was phenomenal. Let's make no bones about it. 35-0 to be exact, how great they were. That defensive line played out of their mind.
Yeah, it felt like every single time I was dropping back in coverage, there was pressure on the quarterback or the running back. It made my job a lot easier, putting me in good field position. So it was
Talking about field position, I gave you a heads up. We got to talk about one play in particular that I'll tell you what, it's got to be up for one of the plays of the week here on YSN. We're going to watch this one together. Holy smokes.
My goodness.
Well, we'll wait until that replays, because that's the beautiful thing about live, It does what it feels like. Let's do that one again.
It's a short punt that'll die. And he picked it up. That's Chase Newsome. He picked up the ball. He's still up. He's still going. He returned it for a touchdown. The Heralds have found another play.
So I'll tell you what.
Oh, my goodness.
That play in particular, a 40-yard punt return. Chase, what is going through your head as you pick up that ball with 2 Beechwood defenders right within striking distance of you?
Well, funny enough, Coach Fry, we've actually talked about a scenario like this before. If they touch the ball and they don't pick it up, I'm allowed to take off and run with it. Even if I were to kick it or something and they were to pick it up, that's still our ball. So I took the risk. I saw them walking away from it. and I saw a bunch of green grass, so I took advantage of it.
So, you have arguably the play of the game right there. And then following that, you get a pick six and take that one back to the house for 26 yards as well. What was going on defense? Because you were the second pick six of the game as
Yes.
the freshman Carter Beck starts off the game with a pick six.
Yeah, that was first play of the game. That was crazy. I'm so proud of him. That was awesome. And then for me, it just felt like Carlo Fasano was getting in the backfield, pressuring the quarterback every single time. So he was forced to make some crazy throws.
I'll tell you what, Muscles Marinara had himself an
Yeah,
afternoon.
he
It was
sure
definitely
did.
helping. But,
Yes.
you guys were out there. And then on the offensive side, here's a number that you don't see too often. Not only do you guys go into halftime with a 35-0 lead, 8 or 9 offensive plays
Yeah, I know.
was all you guys got there.
Crazy.
So what was going on in your head, the 9 times you got to see the field on offense?
Well, I realized that we were just in great field position every time I got the ball, so I knew I was going to have to take advantage of the little amount of carries I got. I had to take advantage of them. So
yeah, and I mean, you talk about that offensive line that has been opening up freeways for you guys in this one. The addition of Bobby Chenault, I call him Ironhead back there. You guys are thunder and lightning, opening up those holes. What kind of relationship do you have with those guys who have to lead block and that sort of thing?
Yeah, me and Bobby, we work on it. Actually, Coach Lips is very big on our fullbacks blocking, so Bobby's getting a lot better at it, and we practice it all the time in practice, so we're getting better at it.
Yeah, and another interesting question, and I'll ask you like I ask everybody else, and I think this is going to come as a big surprise to a lot of you guys at home. Chase, how long have you been playing football?
Well, I started my 8th grade year, and I played quarterback, and it was not something I've ever done before, and I was just trying it out. And then my first year of high school football was sophomore year.
So we're looking at year 2, actually year 3 total of football, and you've got this young man making huge plays for this St. John team. What was it like after not playing that freshman year and then coming back and playing as a sophomore? What was it going on in your head? Because, when any sport you play, you typically do pretty good at.
Well, I was actually pretty nervous going into football season because it was my first sport at St. John, and I was just kind of getting the feel of things. But the senior class and even the seniors now were my close friends, and they made it so easy for me to just fit right into the game and just learn it. It felt right.
I did prep you on this question because it just dawned on me. But last year being your first year, on the varsity field, I can't remember what team it was, but you had a welcome to football moment where you got hit by Brian Urlacher, the office linebacker.
Yeah.
And you popped right back up. What was going through your head there?
Well, that was my first game at running back. I was a receiver, and this is my first game at running back, and I'm running on the sideline. I think I'm about to have a breakaway touchdown, and out of nowhere, this kid from Grand Valley comes and lays me on my butt, and it was something special. I've never been hit like that before in my life.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, you popped right back up, which I think is what impressed everybody about it. It's that toughness, that tenacity. Where does that come from?
I play 2 other sports, so I've honestly, my brother, I've been competing with him my whole life. So
Dylan Newsom, who you've heard his name quite a few times on this show.
Yeah, he's definitely helped me with all that because we're always battling. Even when he comes back from college, we're going to be battling. It's just it's a constant thing.
So you talk about the other sports you're playing. Obviously, a standout on the basketball court and on the baseball diamond as well. Talking about basketball, and then we'll switch over into baseball. What do you think from basketball has helped you with football?
Well, basketball is mainly like you're using footwork and you're constantly staying in shape. So when I go through all these sports, I think I'm staying in shape, just getting ready for the season. And then basketball, like we've struggled and we've also like I've learned how to win and I've learned how to lose playing basketball. So I think going into football season that helps out, like learning how to win and learning how to lose.
Yeah, and you play baseball. You're one of the better baseball players we have on the network, to be honest. And you've done travel baseball. Going out there, seeing some real, talented competition since you were a very young man. How do you think that has held up, especially in baseball where, people think it's boring, but it's a high intensity situation every time you're out there.
Yeah, like I've played pretty good competition just growing up, and there's always kids that are better than me, and that makes me want to work harder. And that when I play against kids that are better than me in all the other sports, then when I go into like sports like this, especially football, I'm able to just like level out my competition and like just work as hard as I can to try to be better than those kids.
So, year two playing football, year two as a Herald. What was different going into this year when you talk about the off-season stuff, whether you're talking in June, July, whenever you guys really got the show on the road, what felt different as you guys lose some very, very talented seniors from last year?
For sure. Well, we definitely hit the weight room hard. That was a big thing, and we have a new quarterback, Anthony Benedict, and I got a bunch of off-season reps with him just so he could feel comfortable, and we were working all the time, throwing the ball around, and I think that helped a lot.
One of the things that sticks out with you, one of the reasons why you are the Lightning in the Thunder and Lightning combination back there is it's the speed, it's the one-cut ability, and a little birdie told me that you might have access to somebody who knows a little bit about running. How much time do you get to spend with that guy? And you tell us who it is.
Wait, hold on. Well, I need a little bit of backstory here. What are we talking about?
I've heard from the grapevine that there's a guy that teaches at Geneva who kind of specializes in speed.
He'll make fun of me for missing that one.
Yeah, you may have access to him a little bit more than others.
Well, Bobby McCoy is my uncle. Me and him in the off season definitely got a lot of speed work in, and I was actually working out with Bryce Pete, who, funny enough, was just on here
last week.
So maybe what my uncle's doing is paying off. But we hit it pretty hard in the off season. I think it definitely helped out.
So, you guys, as I said during the preamble, you guys had game one where you had a wonderful first half. Second half probably wasn't fun during film. Then game two, you guys go out there in the second half after a troublesome first half. What was it like to put the whole game together?
Yeah, it was definitely a focus point going into the game. We've that's been the main talk is we got to play 2 halves of good football. We've been playing one. And it was a big focus point. So I think us actually going in there and doing it was a huge relief. Now we have to continue it going into Crestline and all these upcoming games.
Yeah, I mean, you guys playing in that NAC conference, which I think is one that people tend to overlook, not realizing how many truly talented football teams are in that conference. What is something that you focused on going into this season and something that you're going to continue to focus on, improving throughout the rest of the year?
Well, I've been trying to get my weight and my strength up. So normally playing my other 2 sports, I've been kind of like the smaller, like skinnier guy, and I've been getting bumped around a lot. So trying to work on my toughness and stuff like that. That's definitely been a focus point.
So what can we look forward to when the St. John Heralds are on the field for the rest of the year?
Well, a lot of hard work and a lot of wins. That's the goal, a lot of wins.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. I get the honor and the privilege of calling these games. It's always a lot more fun when we're on that side of it. I can tell you that much. But what an excellent, excellent week you had. And I'm going to bring your graphic up here one more time because 4 touchdowns for our player 3, or our week 3 player of the week. And that is Chase Newsome of the St. John Heralds. Thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Flynn. Hi, this is Steve Versetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit WRSwealth.com.
go Raiders,
Go Dogs!
Go Cats. Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Nestled here in the beauty and splendor of Mill Creek Metro Parks are two of America's best golf courses, as selected by Golf Week magazine. Ranked number 9 in Ohio by TripAdvisor. Come play like a pro on these award-winning Donald Ross-designed courses. Enjoy a round with your kids and unwind with your favorite food and drinks in the grill room. For championship golf, look no further than your backyard. Mill Creek Golf Course.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Like I said, we just got done with our interview of our Week 3 Player of the Week. It was an excellent week of football as a whole. Now, we had some teams that went out there and struggled a little bit more than others. St. John obviously was not one of those. 35-0 at halftime, and it stayed that way. I think one of the more impressive parts of that game is the fact that you look at St. John again with a long, sustained drive to start the third quarter, holding the ball for upwards of 9 minutes to put that game away. Let's talk about some of the games from last week right now. Do a quick visit over on the comments section. So we'll start off at the top. This was another game that I had a chance to cover myself on Friday evening. Lakeside versus Rhodes. I was joined with Seth Nagin, who is one of our newest broadcasters, a bright spot, a young man who I think you're going to have to get to know his name very soon. He's going to be in sports media and broadcasting for years and years to come. But he covered that game with me on Friday. Lakeside falls in that one, 14-34 is the final score in that one. This is a Cleveland Rhodes team that came in 2-0. Very, very talented, with a couple big wins under their belt. Lakeside obviously was looking for that first win of the year. Couldn't get it done as, Lakeside's offense showed, I'll tell you what, in the last 5 minutes of that game, that they are one of the most dangerous teams on the network this year. They've got young guys in J.J. Murphy and Terry Brown, amongst others, who flat out can play football, make huge, huge plays. I think what we did see in that game is the emergence of a new running back. We talked about Devin Miller taking on that terrible injury prior to the season starting, and they were kind of looking everywhere to see who was going to step up. They look up to Chance Arnold, at first, and he's still in there making plays and helping in that running back field. But Maceo Bowles, a freshman, stepping up in that game and showing that he is a very viable option for this Dragons offense. I can comfortably say that if Lakeside plays the last 5 minutes of that game like that the entire game, this score is very easily flipped. And we're going to have a chance to see Lakeside do that again this week. And we'll talk about that when we get to the week 4 matchups. This one was a big one, folks. Edgewood versus Girard. Final score there, 27-48. This was the battle of unbeatens. 2-0 versus 2-0. Girard obviously comes in with a huge, huge amount of, fear across the country, or across the county, across the area, because of how good they truly have been. AJ Pearson and Lipinski have been a real showstopper, but there was no fear at Edgewood that day. Edgewood went out there. They were ready to play that ball game, including taking a lead early in that one, striking first, 7-0 there in that first quarter. And Girard, their offense does what they do. They make big plays, and then they start to pull away. But this was an Edgewood team that wasn't quitting. And, all the way until the fourth quarter, trying to get back into the game, finding guys like J.J. Dufour and Javen Pope and Josiah Pope, the Slim Reaper, Riley Baldwin, amongst others, making big plays. Devin Sanchez is a kid over at Edgewood that I think is beginning to show people that he is a name you need to know. I look forward to see how Edgewood bounces back from this game. because they got tested against a team that is very, very talented. I said last week on our show on Thursday, Zone Coverage, that whoever wins this game has to be the favorite to win their conference. And I think Girard, and I'm sorry, I see there's a typo on there. Girard, who is 3-0, not 3-1. Girard is one of those that people got to start paying attention to. We'll see when that game comes up how I make that pick, but I do believe that the Indians are very, very talented. Conneaut Spartans, they're going to fall to the Mineral Ridge Rams 24-37. Another tough game out there. Colby Stiltner has had himself a nice year so far for the Spartans. Isaiah Bowles has shown that he is very, very, very talented in that Spartans backfield. Mineral Ridge is just a team that, they're led by Andy Hake, and it's a new face, a new look, and new leadership style. And these are a bunch of kids who are ready to run through a wall, and they've got the talent to back it. And I think this is a game where Conneaut was ready to go, and it was a battle. This was truly a battle between Rams and Spartans. The Rams come out on top, but don't write off Conneaut just yet. St. John, we talked about already, 35-0. That was the score at halftime. So they open up this game with their young man, Carter Beck, a freshman. First play of the game, 14 seconds into the game, a pick six. And when I tell you that set the tone for the game, that's exactly what it did. This was a defense that smothered Beechwood from pillar to post. Multiple sacks, multiple tackles for loss, constant pressure on the quarterback, which resulted in mistakes. Special teams stepping up in a big way. St. John taking away two turnovers off of the few punts that they did have. This was St. John going into halftime, only playing 9 offensive plays in the first half, winning 35-0. St. John, they've got a big game coming up this week. We'll talk about that here soon. Grand Valley and McDonald. This was another one of those matchups I think that everybody had double circled on their calendar. Everybody wanted to see this one. It was 2-0 Grand Valley versus 2-0 McDonald. The meeting of two big-time teams ready to go with red-hot starts. And McDonald goes out there in the first half and absolutely wins it. That's all there is to it. 42-0 before you could blink your eye. And shout out to Grand Valley because they didn't give up. They've got playmakers that even if you do get a lead on this Mustangs team, they can always get themselves right back into the game. With guys like J. Anthony Williams and Luke Giddings, you really can never count them out. And that's a team that played till the final whistle. But McDonald, the Blue Devils, reign supreme in that one. Pymatuning Valley 2-1, 53-0 over the Valley Christian Eagles. I think this is a Pymatuning Valley team that has a lot to prove, and they're looking to do just that. They go out in week 1, take a tough loss to Mineral Ridge, which I've talked about how good that Mineral Ridge Rams team truly is. And PV learned, bounced back, and have not looked back since. I think what the most interesting part of this win for the Pymatuning Valley Lakers is how much they're throwing the ball. This was not a team that I would have thought, PV, and they're going to be one of the top passing teams in the county, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing Justin Britton go out there, and that connection between Britton and Folkman with Sean Croston right there in the mix as well has proved to be lethal. This is a Pymatuning Valley Lakers team that can throw the ball and score touchdowns. And if you look at the 0, this means that defense has not gone anywhere. PV has bounced back. They're ready to go. Geneva, the Geneva Eagles go out on Friday, and they do exactly what I thought they were going to do. This is a Division I team in Normandy, in the Invaders, that has, they went into that game 1-1. Geneva is a different animal. Bryce Pete, Caden Proy, Ricky DePetta, you name it, they've got guys in that wing tee. Everybody can score. Everybody can make it happen at any given time. Bryce Pete, when we go through the leaders in this area, it is unbelievable when you see this kid's yards per carry. He is doing so well that it is overshadowing guys like Proy and DePetta, who are just as good in this offense. And again, more impressive in this offense is the fact that they're holding Normandy, this Division I Normandy Invader team, to the goose egg. to the goose egg. Getting younger guys in at the end of the game, and that means those younger guys or JV players are taking this game just as seriously as the guys who started off the game, not giving up a point. Nothing comes free when you go against Geneva, and they showed it right there. The Jefferson Falcons, an an old NE8 matchup, and taking on Lakeview, and they had a tough night in that one. 12-34 is the final for that one. But Jefferson, again, I think they've showed. I know they've shocked me, not in that they're good, but how they've won these games. I expected Jefferson to be very, very good, just like they are this year. But I honestly expected it to come from that run game and an offensive line that was ready to go. I think the emergence of Mason Khalil and Devin Salinas has been the story so far this season for the Jefferson Falcons. These guys can throw the ball, and they can throw the ball very, very well. You're going to see when we start talking about the season, the stat leaders, exactly how dominant their passing game truly has been. Jefferson has been on a rampage, and I am here for it. I cannot wait to see where this team is going to be when we're talking in weeks 8 and 9. Because, you've got a quarterback in Khalil who can throw the ball all over the field. You've got a guy in Salinas who can catch everything you throw out there. And don't forget, you've got Matt Webster in the backfield who it takes on average 5 guys to take down. Jefferson is a real contender. They had a tough week this week. Look for them to bounce completely back this week coming. So we talked about what happened in week 3. Let's look at what week 4 has to bring us. So Lakeside 0-3, they are going to head to Painesville to take on the Harvey Red Raiders. This is a game I think is very, very interesting for you folks at home. I think it's really easy to completely write off Lakeside and think that they've got nothing going for them. I don't believe that is the case. I think Lakeside has found their place. I think they found what they need to do to win games. J.J. Murphy, a first-year quarterback for the Lakeside Dragons, I'm going to give you a little spoiler, continues to be the county's top passer. Terry Brown has shown to be an incredible weapon. Between Arnold and Bowles in the backfield, the run game has found it. The offensive line played much better last week than they have in weeks 1 and 2. And they're going against a Harvey Red Raiders team with probably the best running back in the state of Ohio in Sean Alston. This is a 4-star commit going to USC. And Harvey has struggled with stopping the run. So if they can get the run game going and then it opens up that pass game, Lakeside, you can really turn the page. You can change the narrative this week. People have written you off already. I am not one of those people. I think that the Lakeside Dragons are going to show exactly who they are this week when they take on the Harvey Red Raiders. Speaking of bounce back, I think you're going to see another one right here. Edgewood, the 2-1 Warriors, going to be traveling to Lutheran West to take on the Longhorns, who are 0-3. Edgewood got tested very heavily last week. I think they're ready for this game. Look for Edgewood in a very, very big way this week. Conneaut, they're going to be heading over to West Geauga for this one. Both of these teams are 1-2. One of these teams is coming home 500, and I think that is going to be the Spartans. I think this is a perfect matchup for them. I think you can expect a big week from Bowles. I think you can expect a big week from Stiltner and Dobrin and the rest of the crew from Conneaut. West Geauga going to be hosting on a very angry Conneaut team. St. John taking on Crestline this week. Another home game for the Heralds. 1-2 versus 1-2. I think the Heralds figured out what they have to do to win ball games last week. They have to take in that intensity right into this one so they can head into conference play 500 and get ready to play the crux of their schedule. And I think that's exactly what you're going to see. They've unlocked a defense that they're like piranhas in the water. They figured out that they can get this huge push up front, and they're going to rely on those guys. If you continue to hurry the quarterback, that's where mistakes happen. That's where you're going to see guys like Carter Beck, Chase Newsome, Gus Petros, Anthony Severino taking the ball out of the air. If you put the ball in the air against the Heralds, that's the most dangerous place on the field. Look for the Heralds to flex that defensive muscle coming up this week. The Grand Valley Mustangs taking on the 0-3 Wyndham Bombers. This is one where I think Grand Valley is going to take all of their frustrations out from that week 3 loss in this game in particular. This is where Grand Valley is going to show again that they are who they say they are. Look for this one in a big way. I'm going to say the same thing about Pymatuning Valley 2-1, taking on a 1-2 Vienna Matthews. I think you can look for Pymatuning Valley to flat out go out there and flex. That's what you're going to be looking out for this one. Geneva heading to Hawken. This is 3-0 versus 3-0. Very interesting matchup on paper. Hawken is very good at throwing the ball, but nobody runs the ball better than the Eagles. Nobody. And what the Eagles have shown is their defense, if you throw the ball, can take you out of the ball game. Look for Geneva in this one. I know everybody's looking at it to be close. I think Geneva wins this one in spectacular fashion. And then it's Jefferson taking on Orange. They will be heading to Orange for this game. I think Jefferson is going to come back, a big bounce back after a 2-0 start, right back to where they should be. Look for a lot of Mason Khalil, a lot of Devin Salinas. And the moment you start putting guys back in coverage, Matt Webster will make you pay for every mistake you make. Look for the Jefferson Falcons to bounce back this week as well. All right, everybody. This is my both my favorite and most controversial part of the show. We are going to get into the stat leaders here in Ashtabula County. And now that we've got all 8 Ashtabula County teams, these are truly Ashtabula County's best. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now from the very beginning. The way that we tally up tackles may be different than the way you're seeing tackles in your locker room. 1 point for a solo, half of a point for an assist. You get 1 point for a sack, 1 point for a TFL. That's how we've always done it. That's how we're always going to continue to do it. That's the most fair way that I can think of, and it's the algorithm that is posted across every team. The second part of this is I am going to report the stats that were given to me. So if the stats you see are different than what you have at home, you got to talk to the coach because that's where I get my stuff from. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Ashtabula County statistical leaders, and we're going to start like we always do with the passers. And leading the county in passing yards this week is J.J. Murphy from Lakeside. 609 yards on 3 weeks of play for J.J. Murphy. Keep in mind, a first-year quarterback. This was a kid who was a lineman last year. Came out this year firing in that Terry Henton-led offense. 7 touchdowns. Now, there is also another number there that they're going to want to pull back on. That would be the 7 interceptions. A 1-to-1 ratio is never what you want for your quarterback. But this is a young man who has proven that he can throw the football everywhere on the football field. In second place this week, another JJ. This one from across the bridge. JJ Dufour, 42 for 60. He is 526 yards, 8 touchdowns, just 1 interception. Probably the most impressive stat of the day. 8-1 with 526 is JJ Murphy. Coming up next, it's Conneaut's Colby Stiltner. He's got 406 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Then it's the Jefferson quarterback, Mason Khalil. 365 yards, 4 touchdowns, just 1 interception. We move on to the Mustang, Nate Stewart. He's got 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Justin Britton, 341 yards through just 3 weeks of play over at Pymatuning Valley. 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. For just so you know, last year 341 yards was about where they were in week 10. So that shows you the difference that's going on over in Pymatuning Valley. Moving over, we've got Anthony Benedict, 163 yards passing in this one. And again, this is basically on 1 game of work as the offense truly didn't get a chance to do much in their last game, only getting 9 offensive plays in a 35-0 win for the St. John Heralds. And then Caden Proy, 20 yards, but you don't have to throw the ball when you run the ball like the Geneva Eagles do. Moving on from our passers, we go on to our rushing leaders this week. And leading the area, I think this comes as a surprise to nobody. It's Bryce Pete. 33 carries, 525 yards rushing in just about 6 quarters of football. It is unbelievable what this young man has been able to do this year. 7 touchdowns on the year as well. And right behind him, J. Anthony Williams, 26 carries, 387 yards. He's got 4 touchdowns. And then we move on to the Edgewood Warriors, Javen Pope, 51 carries, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns. He is tied with Conneaut's Isaiah Bowles, 44 carries, 330 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then we go to the Jefferson Falcon, Matt Webster, 52 yards, 52 carries, 282 yards, 5 touchdowns. Kason Bailey over at PV, 37 carries. He's got 226 yards, 1 touchdown. Geneva's Caden Proy, 28 carries, 175 yards with 5 touchdowns. So, I mean, that's 12 touchdowns between just Proy and Bryce Pete alone for that Geneva team. Unbelievable. And then we go to St. John's, Chase Newsom, 40 carries, 173 yards, 3 touchdowns for the Heralds. And then rounding out the list, Luke Giddings from Grand Valley, 25 carries, 164 yards. He's got 5 touchdowns for the Grand Valley Mustangs. Now it's time to get to the pass catchers in the area. Leading the way, it's Devin Salinas over at Jefferson. 15 catches, 325 yards, 5 touchdowns. Right behind him, Josiah Pope, 14 catches, 253 yards, 3 touchdowns. Terry Brown, in only 2 games worth of play, 13 catches, 248 yards, 1 touchdown. Chase Folkman, the PV Laker, 11 catches, 210 yards, and 3 touchdowns. J. Anthony Williams, on top of being a rushing leader, also in the pass catching, 6 catches, 189 yards, 1 touchdown there. Conneaut's Luis Cedeno with 10 catches, 133 yards, 1 touchdown. Edgewood's Devin Sanchez, who is a name I talked about during the game recaps, 9 catches, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. And Sean Croston, 13 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns for the PV Lakers. And now we move over to the defense, and we'll start off with our tackle leaders. And again, we talked about the formula, and that's how we get these numbers. Chetty Arcaro from Conneaut leads the way, 27.5 tackles for him. Just behind him is Sean Croston with 26.5. Josh Sabo from Conneaut, 26 tackles. Brady Vera from Conneaut, 24.5 tackles. Then we move on to Brody Dietrich over at Jefferson. He's got 22 tackles. Mason Thor from Edgewood with 21.5. Luke Giddings comes next on the list, 19.5 tackles for him. Bryce Pete, not just doing it on the offensive side of the ball, 19.5 tackles, one of the leaders on that Geneva defense as well. Tyree Anderson, big 6, definitely not little 6, with 19 tackles for the Dragons. And Edgewood's Tanner Klein tied with him with 19. All right, from the tackles, we move on to our TFL leaders. Leading the area, and trust me, this is helping his total tackle number, is Chetty Arcaro with 7. He's got 7 leading the county. Right behind him, Mason Thor from Edgewood. He's got 5. Sean Croston, he's got 4 from PV, joined by his teammate in Kason Bailey, who also has 4. St. John's Corey Davis with 3 tackles for loss, and he is tied with Conneaut's Ben Griswold and Ricky DePetta. Just so you know, right now, 11 other players in the county are tied with 2 tackles for loss. There is a lot of pressure on quarterbacks when you're taking on an Ashtabula County football team. Moving right along, we're going to go into the sack leaders. And this week's sack leader for the county, Muscles Marinara himself, Carlo Fasano with 4, leads the way. Right behind him, Mason Thor with 3. Grand Valley's Luca Marmar with 2, and Jefferson's Brody Dietrich with 1.5. There are 8 other players in the county with 1 sack this year. And finally, last but certainly not least, we'll talk about the guys who are taking the ball away. And leading the county in interceptions this week is J. Anthony Williams. 3 interceptions for the Grand Valley Mustangs. This is a kid who is leading both rushing, receiving, and obviously on the defensive side of the ball. He's already having himself a heck of a year for this Mustangs team. 3 interceptions. Right behind him, the Slim Reaper with 2, who is tied with the Jefferson Falcons, Devin Salinas with 2, and Geneva's Ricky DePetta with 2. Like I said, with Geneva, you can't just throw the ball. They'll take that thing right away, and that offense is so potent, you're going to knock yourself out of the game. Those are the Ashtabula County statistical leaders as we head into week 4 this year. It's going to be a great week of football. I am so excited. And it's a full slot on YSN Live. You're going to catch all the games. Everybody who's home for sure, you're going to get them every week. Sometimes when they travel, it gets a little bit sketchy. If we can get clearance, if we can get broadcasters to go that far away. But just understand this, your home for high school sports is now and will always be ysnlive.com. We are always going to be there, and if we can't be there, there'll be stories, and you'll know what's going on. You can head over to the scoreboard on Friday night if you want to know how the other teams are doing, ysnlive.com/scores. So, that's going to do it for this week here live from the Crow's Nest. I do want to tell you guys, make sure you come on down here. Tonight's specials include loaded potato soup, stromboli, which I can personally attest to is phenomenal. I've gotten the stromboli here. It's a full meal. It is so good. Buffalo chicken dip, pulled pork sliders, and crab leg dinner are all on special tonight here at the Crow's Nest. I can't thank the Detour family enough for housing me every week during this football season and bringing this show live. And obviously, I cannot go without thanking our friends over at Sposito Insurance and Dan Sposito in particular. Thank you for so much for your generosity and taking a shot on a guy like me to bring sports around here in the county. Without folks like that, these sort of things don't happen. So make sure for your insurance needs, you head over to Sposito Insurance. Make sure if you're in town, right here at the end of Route 11, the Crow's Nest, baby, you can't miss it. The best food, the best environment, the best people. That's going to do it for tonight's show. Ladies and gentlemen, today and for always, this is for the 440.
This for the football. This for the football. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them goats. All from the football. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating no dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really doubt it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and kinda I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number 1 in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the football. This for the football. This for the football.